Welcome to the episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I'm going to be recapping episode 9 of Lego Masters Season 5. We are down to the final four. Yes, to the final four. And one of these people would go home as we are ahead of the finale. The four remaining teams compete for a spot in the finale, where each team is tasked with building a mechanism that successfully moves a ping pong ball from one side of the studio to the other, combining intentional storytelling with technical craftsmanship. Builders must be brave, bold, and unique in the all-new Great Ball Contraption episode of Lego Masters. We are down to our final four: Ben, Michael, Ian, Sage, Anthony, Joe, Corey, and Rebecca. One of the things that I loved about this episode was not only did you have to make your build look unique, use the mechanism to really move the ball through, but you also had to coincide with the fellow people, your fellow competitors, in order to move the ball to the end of the game. So for me, I was interested to see how they were going to be able to do this. And to me, this is one of the cooler and wildest builds of the season. I love the creative juices needed to make things happen, right? Because you have to build a story, you have to build this mechanism, you have to move the ball from point A to point B. And if it doesn't, you risk the opportunity of missing out on the finale. You know what I mean? We are down to the final episode. You know what I mean? You watch the entire season, you're almost like, I would rather be eliminated maybe, the second, third, fourth. You don't want to be the first person eliminated, but you definitely wouldn't mind being maybe eliminated, fourth, like fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, but you don't want to get eliminated the episode before the finale. So first up, we had Ben and Michael, the lost meatball. The meatball falls off the plate. This was hilarious. I don't know. Obviously the judges have a concern with it going. Judges had a concern from it going from one side to the other, but ranking it based on just presentation and stories, I really like this. This was fun. It was unique. It was just the storytelling here was pretty good. I really enjoyed what we got out of Ben and Michael here. Ian and Sage, the tale of Sage and Ian. I'll be honest with you. They wanted to capture the journey of Lego Masters and build it through the builds of the season. This to me was awesome. Genuinely really cool how they used the builds throughout the entirety of the season to correlate to get the ball from point A to point B, but also the storytelling here, top tier. The judges thought it was a little simplistic. I can see that, but to me, I just feel like the idea of using their journey on the show on here, I thought that was pretty cool. Anthony and Joe, Escape from Mom is the name of their build. Look, this build was fun as hell. I enjoyed the creation. It might have been Anthony and Joe's best build of the season. And what better way to have the best build of the season as you are entering the finale? Come on. You know what I mean? To me, insane. Corey and Rebecca, hairbrush inspiration, quite ambitious, and really enjoyed this. This might be their best work of the season as well. I was honestly impressed. If we were going based off of just presentation and not getting the ball from point A to point B, to me, I think it would have ranked Anthony and Joe, Corey, Rebecca, Ian and Sage, Ben and Michael. That's how I would have ranked them 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the ball starts at Anthony and Joe's build, then goes to Sage and Ian's, then goes to Ben and Michael's, and ends up at Corey and Rebecca's. So Anthony and Joe's work perfectly fine, and then it starts its way up to Sage and Ian's build. It fell down the track, but it caught itself, so it didn't ever stop, ultimately making it through Ben and Michael's. Ben and Michael's stops, gets jammed up, which obviously could just trigger them sending home. However, it stopped during the middle of Corey and Rebecca's build. So we knew that the bottom two were going to be Rebecca and Corey, Ben and Michael. So Anthony and Joe won this week's competition, deservingly so. Fantastic build from them. Sage and Ian were the second team safe heading into the finale. So Anthony and Joe, Sage and Ian were heading to the finale. And then last but not least, Rebecca and Corey, Ben and Michael. I'm going to be completely honest. Ben and Michael should have went home. And this is, I believe, the second time that we've seen them not do something, not complete something, and it falls short, and then the other team gets eliminated. If I was a judge, I'm sorry. I understand Ben and Michael have had a strong season. They had a good bounce back week last week, but this episode right here, to me, this episode right here, Ben and Michael should have went home. Because to me, as I consistently said, I said this, I think 2 weeks ago, when they were in the bottom three, I felt like in that moment, this is a weekly build situation. This isn't about what you've done in the past. This isn't about your build from episode one. It's about the build for this specific episode. And the objective of this episode was to get the ball from point A to point B. Now, Corey and Rebecca did not make it as well. My problem with that is I thought Corey and Rebecca's hairbrush inspiration was a ambitious and bold opportunity for them to carry themselves on. Now, I know they said that they didn't feel like it was big and bold and out there and all of these things, and I get that. But to me, again, week to week, I feel like their build was, and I think it was close. It was really close to me. I really feel like their builds against one another, strong build by Ben and Michael. You know what I mean? But I had Corey and Rebecca up there. I had Corey and Rebecca as the second best build of the episode. However, you can't put them in second place because their build they failed to do one of the objectives of this competition. That being said, obviously, Corey and Rebecca are heading home. And for those of you who have been joining me each week, I will have my interview with Corey and Rebecca up on the Love and Reality podcast right here on the YouTube channel. Tuesday morning, I believe I'll have it up Tuesday morning, Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I'll have it up for you guys. But yeah. All right. So our final three, Ben, Michael, Ian Sage, Anthony, and Joe. One of the more impressive things here is Anthony and Joe are coming off probably their strongest build of the season. Loved what they did here. Ian and Sage also coming on strong. I felt like they went from strong to middle in the pack to strong again. And Ben and Michael hit and miss over the last 4 weeks. Strong, or 3 weeks. Bottom three, strong, bottom three. And that's kind of where Ben and Michael have fallen. What happens in this finale will be very, very, very interesting to see. I was rooting for Ian and Sage the whole entire season, but Anthony and Joe just feel like that sleeper that you want to kind of latch onto. That Ben and Michael, Ian and Sage have been at the top tier throughout the entirety of the season. So you want to kind of see somebody just sneak in and get a W at the end. To me, that is, excuse me, that is something I would love to see happen here. I'm genuinely like kind of excited, almost anxious to see what they do. I hope they pick up where they left off in this episode and finish the season strong, because it is a well-deserved that all three of these coming off that build, Ian Sage, Anthony, Joe, Ben, and Michael, have been strong pretty much all season. Anthony and Joe coming on as of late. But let me know your predictions. Who do you think is going to win Lego Masters Season 5? Let me know in the comments below. We'll be back next week to break down who won Lego Masters. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be back next week.